Hello, I'm Jim LaMattery with Talk Housing San Diego, and today I have with me Attorney Cory Briggs, who is running for city attorney in the 2020 race. Good afternoon, Cory.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for
Good.
having me.
So this is going to be an interesting race because it seems as though housing will be at the forefront of the issues in this mayoral election. You know, a lot of homeowners are concerned about what's going to happen with their homes, with their communities, with this needed change of leadership in San Diego.
Yeah, so my sense, from being an environmental lawyer for many years and representing these neighborhoods is that we've sort of reached the crucial point where San Diego's going to have a fight with Sacramento over who's going to bear the ultimate cost of doing more to provide housing that's affordable to working families. There's fevered debate in Sacramento. There's fevered debate here in San Diego. There's a well-connected, well-funded cadre of lobbyists working on behalf of corporate speculators who would like to just open the floodgates of development really without any control. Get rid of all the local controls and just let the market run amok. And then there are folks who say, wait a minute, we like San Diego. We want to see it move forward, but we want to see it move forward in a way that reflects San Diego and San Diegans. And you see those two ideas butting heads pretty significantly right now.
Yeah, we saw that just recently with the push to get SB 50, Senate Bill 50, through the California Senate. It was held up in appropriations, but we anticipate it coming back in January of 2020, just at the time that we're having the big elections here in San Diego.
Yeah, look, this fight's not going away. It's a long time coming, and the truth of the matter is that there is a problem with the lack of affordable housing.
Right.
There's no housing crisis, there's an affordable housing crisis. You can go downtown and we have thousands of luxury units that are vacant. And the class of corporate speculators want to see all the rules removed so that they can build for people trying to enhance their investment portfolios, as opposed to people who are looking to buy houses to house people who work and go to school and live in San Diego. And the way that's done is by shifting the costs of development onto somebody else. And when you get rid of the development rules, you in effect are making the residents who live in the communities absorb the cost of the unbridled development.
That's what we're seeing currently, for example, along the Marina Corridor with the specific plan, that and the Balboa specific plan that's going up for approval here next week with the City Council. The infrastructure part of this plan really hasn't been dealt with. In fact, they left out, that city left out the public financing portion of the plan from the community planning groups that were working on it. And for the Claremont area, they actually took the land use and zoning, in other words, the upzoning of the plan, completely out of our hands and put it into our plan update that will, be maybe a year or two down the road. Communities are worried about state control, and I know this has been a long fight. City attorneys, particularly for a charter city, can be extremely helpful. If we got the right city attorney and we have the right mayor, we can do a lot to stave that basically what most of us see as a freight train coming of state control. They're after, they want to eliminate the planning group process. And as you and I have spoke earlier, we really need to strengthen that community planning group process, not get rid of it.
Yeah, so San Diego is a charter city, which means that unless there is an issue of statewide significance and there's no role for the city of San Diego in that, San Diego's rules take priority over Sacramento's rules. And there's going to be a fight over whether Sacramento can take away our zoning rules from afar
Yeah.
under the auspices of trying to help the entire state. A city attorney should fight that, right? San Diego is a charter city. We have home rule. We should have a city attorney who's prepared to fight Sacramento to make sure that San Diegans are protected. The process, I think everybody agrees the process is broken. However, the people who broke it, the lobbyists, the campaign donors, all of the people who prop up the politicians over the years, they broke it so that they could say, see, we need to get rid of the process.
Right.
This is just sabotage. The process needs to be fixed, but it needs reform because the good parts of the process aren't being allowed to flourish. I'll give you an example. I've represented communities all over the city when projects were coming to their neighborhoods. The biggest concern they have is density without supportive infrastructure.
Right.
And frequently, in past planning iterations, they were promised that they would have some infrastructure that matches the new density.
Right.
And then they never get that delivered, right? So they took the burden, they never got the benefit, and it's happened to them over and over and over again. And folks finally say, hey, we want what was promised the last time and the time before that and the time before that. The city's got a multi-billion-dollar backlog on infrastructure, and there's no plan for increasing density combined with maintaining infrastructure, much less fixing the deficit. The communities know what needs to be done in their neighborhoods to provide more housing, to provide more parks, to provide better transit, to provide better access. But their solutions aren't nearly as lucrative as speculators giving money to politicians and speculators propping up phony nonprofits who claim to be advocating in the public's interest when they're really just carrying the water
Right.
for these speculators. And the solution is to give the public more say, to give the public more resources in the planning process so that they can help the politicians develop community plans that meet our density needs, that meet our infrastructure needs, that meet our employment needs, that meet our recreational needs and our circulation needs and all that stuff. And then the developers build to that. And we can have a trade-off. We do the heavy lifting up front. We get buy-in from a critical mass so that the majority is supportive of the plan. And then we let the developers come in and we stop fighting them on a case-by-case basis because the community has spoken and said, this is what we want to see.
Absolutely.
But right now, far too many of the lobbyists get rich off the confrontation. Far too many of the consultants get rich off the confrontation. Far too many people make a lot of money fighting over a system that they actually sabotaged so that they could have something to fight about. And their solution is to just cut the public out of the process. And that's wrong. It's completely backwards. It's undemocratic. And if Sacramento tries to dictate that from afar, it will be illegal. And I would fight them in court to make sure they don't get their way.
And that's what we need at this point in time. You know, what many of us in the community are understanding is if we don't have the right mayor in office, if we don't have the right city attorney in office, if we don't have the right planning director, it really is going to take a host of people that really care about San Diego, really care about growing in an organic way, so that we don't have a lot of unintended consequences of state programs and planning ideas that are all centered around building around our transit hubs without a transit system in place.
Yeah, look, what we need is to have people in office who are on Team San Diego.
Yeah.
Not team this politician, not team that politician. We need to be on Team San Diego. Not team that lobbyist, not team that political party, not team that Chamber of Commerce, none of that stuff. Everybody needs to be on Team San Diego. That's who needs to be running the city. And I'll give you an example. You know, we fight about density all over town. Where we don't fight about it is downtown.
That's interesting. That's true.
Downtown, there's no push from City Hall. There's no push from the lobbyists, from the Chamber of Commerce, from any of the big, powerful organizations, most of whom are headquartered downtown. There's no push to densify downtown. Yet downtown already has a public transit system. Downtown is where we have most of the government offices. It wouldn't be difficult to get public employees to get out of their cars and start commuting more.
Right.
It wouldn't be difficult to create incentives to turn parking lots downtown into housing projects. Except we lack the political will, because the money is downtown. And the downtown money isn't interested in doing that to where they are, but they are interested in doing it in everybody else's neighborhood.
Right.
They're happy to export the problems of downtown to everybody else's neighborhood. And so when I hear these folks, you know, they start name calling people in communities who are just trying to protect their biggest investments, where their kids play and go to school, where their family's going to be raised, where they're going to grow up, where they hope to grow old. I always ask myself, why are the people who are pushing it down their throats not simultaneously demanding the same thing where their businesses are headquartered,
Right.
where they spend the most of their time? And you know, you see this not just in housing, but you know, you see on issues dealing with the homeless, right? The problem with the number of people experience homeless is a direct result of City Hall and downtown interests actively working to get rid of the places where people who needed low-income housing were living.
Like the single room
The single-room
occupancies.
occupancy,
Yeah.
the SRO hotels, right? You know, one of the first lawsuits I filed when I moved to San Diego was over SROs, trying to stop it. The politicians get a lot of money from developers who wanted to convert those buildings into boutique hotels and high-end condos. And, you know, we've lost over 10,000 units since the year 2000, and we've got 10,000 people living on the
Yeah,
street.
easy to do the math.
Just do the math.
Yeah.
And rather than fix the problem where they created it, they want to export it to the neighborhoods, and that's wrong. The neighborhoods should be empowered. Now, that doesn't mean, you know, when you're talking about city attorney, it doesn't mean the city attorney dictates policy. The policy should be dictated by the communities. The communities should take their proposals to the city council and the mayor. They're the ones who set policy. The city attorney enforces the policy that they've adopted. But city attorneys do know about due process. They know about transparency. They know how to, when they want to, they know how to educate the public so the public's fully aware of the rules and what they can and can't do. And so they can make a positive contribution to the process by helping to educate the public so they know what their rights are and they know how much they can participate in the process and how much they contribute to the outcome. And then the lawyer needs to sit back and let the process work.
You know, I think you've nailed it, because, you know, communities really do have the power to solve problems like homelessness, to solve problems of where do we put affordable housing within our communities. You know, how do we take care of our own? And it seems like that there's a rattle and hum, that I'm hearing at least, from communities over getting more activated with how their communities are planned. More and more people are coming to the table talking about it. And I think it would be a terrible notion to take power away from the people who live here in San Diego when it comes to planning. So we're hopeful that we're going to get new leadership, and you're correct, it has to be Team San Diego. That's who we're looking for, and you know, I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you.